There we go. That's better. Can you hear me now? I was muted out. How's it going, everybody? Hello there, Parker and Echo. Alright, so let's see. What do I want to work on next? So one system. I want to work on the system for the vertical flight. I think I'm going to change the way it works. I don't currently like it. Yeah, I don't currently like it. Let's go ahead and I think what we'll do is this. Let me see. I think what I'm going to do here, let's see. We'll try this. So thought process is this is ideally at a certain RPS value, I want these fans to start spinning up. That's a goal. And so let's see. Trying to think how I want to do this. The auto spin on those is fine. So one thing I'm doing here is if we look at the clutches here, we have a clutch here which goes to VTOL prop controller prop clutch. And so one thought was I generally want those rotors up around 60 RPS. So what I could do is this. Let's make sure I save this, and then we can work on it from there. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I will put in the controller for this. Let's see your picture. Yeah, okay. RPS. And I'll have a PID control the clutch to maintain RPS. Okay. I think that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll put a PID in. I have to tune the PID. Alright, so that will be our process variable. Prop, RPS of, let's say, 60. That way I can gear it up and get the efficiencies up as well. Let's go ahead, we'll clutch it in there. That's interesting. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right. So I'll control the RPS on the rotors. Leave it there for now. Play with it later. All right, so now we'll run the prop clutches there. And then I want to run it post gearbox. So this was actually going to go undo there. Let's see. Alright, so we'll grab the prop RPS. That will go here. And I'm going to end up putting the PID tuner in here right away, but I'll just put those there for now. All right, good. So that works. All right. We'll do that. That will run that a little bit better. All right, and let's get a PID tuner in here. Okay. And now we need to pull an RPS connection. Try to decide how or if I want to interlink these rotors and put a brake in there. That's a question as well. So I haven't thought of interlink really yet. Let's do an interlink in here. Okay, right there. Okay, good. What's over here? This is... Okay, good. It's not in the way on either side. Beautiful. All right. So the interlink is going to interlink the two rotors together because, again, it would be absolutely disastrous with an airplane if you had one rotor going and the other one not. So you want to make sure you don't have that problem. Okay. See where I want to bash these through. Probably there, I would say. Right there, I'm thinking. And the clutch should be on one side, and I'll put the brake on the other. They should be interlinked, period. So I don't necessarily need a clutch in there. They should be interlinked. Just should be the way they are. Okay. Alright, there we go. Alright, so those two are interlinked now. Let's fix some of the facade on this. Alright, good. So that's now interlinked into the other system. And I want to put a brake. I made a video on I would like a brake block, and this is why. Probably can't get a brake in here because generally what we have to use is a wheel. And the smallest wheel we can get is a 3x3 in there. And as you can see, it's not going to fit. So it's just too damn big. And so that makes it, you know, can't really brake it. I got to use other things to brake it, which is obnoxious. So, yeah. But for now, I can't do any sort of braking on that. I could do generators and other stuff to try to do it in resistance, but it's annoying that we don't have a small break block. Can't really do anything about it, unfortunately, right now, so I'll figure it out later. Alright, so that interlink's done. We got that. Let's get the PID tuner in here. Can you just adhere? Thanks. Let's see. So we need to put the RPS connection in here. Just need the one. Thanks. Let's see. There. Alright, there's the prop RPS. Alright, let's try to get these props to the right RPS. We'll do a dial. Where'd you go there? Alright, let's get this PID tuned in here. Alright, so they should be clutched in. Not quite, huh? Did I not connect? No, the clutch still connected correctly. So what are the conditions? I'm trying to remember the conditions. Oh, hydraulics are not on. Let's put those on. Let's put that on. Let's see. So we should be clutching these in. Why? I don't know yet. Why is that not clutching in? Could be just too small of a number. Let me see if that's it. Nope, it's not that. Alright, let's fix... I just saw that paint that I fixed twice yesterday. Why are you still bad, paint? I fixed that. Friggin' hell, I fixed that paint like 3 times yesterday. Okay. Let's see. Gotta see if it's running a negative or a positive. Let's quickly go through the logic, and then we'll go from there. Alright, the conditions for the PID to turn on. The conditions for the PID to turn on are, let's see. If the current speed is less than 45 knots, 45 meters per second, which it is, RPS is greater than 6.5, so we had done that. It was X and W. Okay, and then I put that in clamp 0 to 1, that's fine. The PID could be running backwards too, I gotta check that. Prop RPS of 60. Prop RPS, did I plug that in? I did plug the prop RPS in, so that should be good. I did do the p-value. I didn't plug the PID tuner in. That would be why I didn't plug the PID tuner in. I thought I did, and I did not. That would be why. Okay. Okay. All right, we're good now. Let's spool this again. All right, there it goes. All right, now we're gonna try to overshoot it. All right, and we're gonna work this number, so. See how it does when it hits the top end. We're gonna probably need, we might need some D value, we'll see. Because ideally, I want to be able to change the thrust on this and not have it, clutch in the, not have it overspeed the rotors. So I want to be able to vary that. So this is a little bit, well, there's more than a little bit slow. This is definitely slow now. Quickly shut off damage. I don't care if it hits the wall, I just need it to behave itself. Alright. Okay. So let's bring these back. I need to let this restabilize. Alright. I won't be able to tell what the numbers are doing unless it's restabilized. Alright, far too crazy. It's far too high at the moment. Let's go 0.001 on the D value. Okay. See how it's stabilized when it hits the top end? It's not as responsive as I would like. But I can't have it oscillating wildly when we get up the top either. Let's see, what is our current RPS is at 12. Could put this out in a hover outside and see what happens. Let's do that. I think there's another system I'm going to add as well where it autos it to 60 and then Because I'm trying to keep up-down as collective. I don't want to switch that, but I also want my throttles up-down, so it makes it a little bit of a challenge. So I have to keep kicking the throttle up. Alright. Get it outside here real quick. Alright, for some reason that's not controlling that. I gotta figure that out. What's up with that? Alright, this is holding it pretty well now. Alright. Let's bring it back in. I gotta see why I'm not able to articulate my blades effectively, so I gotta work on that as well. Those numbers were pretty good to start with. Starting to work the way I want. Got some issues with the way I'm controlling this. I don't need hydraulics on yet. Like to work on a, I'm not going to stream for too long today, but I'd like to work on a Huffer cart and a APU, or GPU rather. Huffer cart, GPU. Why? Oh my god, why? Trying to type a message and it's giving me all sorts of bullshit. What the fuck, man? My god phone. Very annoying. I just do the message the way I want to. Alright, so those are set in. Power connect on. So generally I want to set this around, let's say 6 or 7. Let's say 7. Can't have it too low or it's going to disengage the rotors. So the rotors should be clutched in. They are. Let's see if I can climb us. That's a current altitude. 31. Okay. Alright, there we go. So what I want to do is when I'm at a very low thrust setting like we are now, it will default the vertical mode. Essentially, I'm going to also put a switch in there in the event that I want to disable the vertical mode, and then I can just do horizontal mode if I want. So you can see it's working nice and stably here. You can see I can even taxi right out, do a hover taxi out of the hangar, no problem here. Alright, so that's working pretty well. And then when I go, what are you at, 14 now? Let me see if I can go down. See, that's not going to work for a regular flight. I think I'll just put a disengage on there for the... What I think I'll do here. Let's work on this too. So... Okay. So let's do that. Is it going to be a bunch of circumstances? Like, I don't want it too automated where if I put the thrust lever somewhere, it does something, because there's going to be too many use cases where that just doesn't make sense. And I, as the pilot, lose controllability. And as the pilot, I do not want to lose controllability. I really do not. So let's see. We have... So I like those numbers. Those numbers are fine. Let's put those in. If I want to change them again, I can. If I have issues with the numbers, I can retune them. Alright, so that's good. Then we want to go to the turbine controller. And right now, let's see. Okay, where is my fan? Alright, here's the fan clutch. Alright, let's update this and check where the panel is. I need this panel here, so... Alright, perfect. So that goes in there. Alright, and then we have... Double check it again. 15. 16 is the turbofan. Alright. 16 is the turbofan. Alright, 16 is the turbofans right here. Okay. And then I think we'll get... I'll save this formula, but we don't really need it. And I can get rid of some stuff in here. Let's see. We can get rid of those too. Okay, because I don't want them asymmetrical anyway. That's good. Fan clutch is good there. I'll hold on to this formula in case I want to use it again. I doubt that I'm going to use it again. Get rid of it. Okay. Let's do that for the jet spoiler. And then, let's see. What you got on here? Anything frivolous I can get rid of? Let's see if I have anything frivolous I can get rid of. Seat is frivolous. I don't need it, so that can go. Let's just not be hasty with that. Never mind, I already screwed it up, so that's fine. What's that? Pit tuner and physical. Okay. Alright. All right, and let's see. What do I get there? Z. Alright, that'll work. And then, yeah, alright. Alright, so now let's run this how I would. So let's say we want to go out there. Let's start it up. Alright, that's on. Wait for the pneumatics to come up to 734. There we go. Alright, light 1. Fuel valve 2 can come on. Set my seat too, but... Alright, bleed. Fuel valve's already on. Let's light 2. Do a vertical takeoff to start with, so we'll go full flaps. 2's up. Bleed valve's off. Gens 1 and 2, bat 2. Hydraulics 1 and 2, beacons on. Park brakes off. Alright, so now we're going to go rotor engage, not rotor engage, turbofan engage. So why are they not engaging? There they go, okay. So we'll taxi out. So I think this is going to be better. As a pilot, I can control what I want to do. That's where a lot of this automation stuff everybody gets infatuated with, I think sucks, is it's... You know, there's going to be use cases where you as the pilot want to do something and you don't want the plane fighting you. That is a very, very bad thing. It really is. And so now, let's say I want to do a vertical takeoff. So I'm going to bring my thrust back. I'm going to go ahead and put the auto hover on just for extra assistance. Alright, so now I want to spool up. Alright, here, let's actually stop, not spool up. Let's go ahead and we want to disengage the turbofans and engage the rotors. Alright, the rotors will not engage till they can spin fast enough. There they go. Alright, now for some reason I think I know what it is, but I can't control. There we go, we're going now. Alright. It's the way I have to do the rotors, or the way I'm doing them currently is wrong. So now we won't get that jostling you get when you over rev the turbo, the rotors, because I have that protected from doing that. So I got to work on my own manual control of the rotors. All right, now I'm going to start to engage the fans. And there we go. All right, now the rotors will automatically disengage. As you can see, the rotors are disengaging. Gears coming up. Flaps starting to come up. A little bit early on the flaps, but that's all right. Flaps are up now. Having gear issues I gotta fix. Just gear door issues I gotta fix. Oh, they're backwards, that's why. Okay, I see what the problem is now. That makes sense. Okay. Alright, now let's say I want to do a standard landing without the rotors. So I want no rotors, so we're going to shut the rotors off. And we're going to do a standard landing at an airport. Now, just because you have a VTOL airplane, you wouldn't always land VTOL. You would generally not land VTOL as often as you can because it's wear and tear on systems. and it requires a lot of thrust, and so you lose the maximum carrying capability. It's like most VTOLs, you start to lose the amount you can carry if you have to do a vertical takeoff. You can do even like an assisted takeoff, you can hold a lot more weight. So ideally, you'd want to be landing conventionally as much as possible. There's really no benefit to VTOL other than the vertical element of it. It's a ton of wear and tear and a bunch of nonsense you really don't need. Alright, so we're coming in about 120 knots. The rotors are not going to engage at all. So we'll come in and we'll land like a standard jet. A little bit of nose correction there. Speed's good. Landing gear's down 3 green. Flaps are set. Landing check lights are on. Landing checklist is complete. Down 3 green. Alright, aiming out at the aiming bars. And we'll land like a regular conventional jet. Those railway signals are way too high for where they are on the flight path. There we go. Alright, a little bit off center, and we'll start pulling thrust back. That was a crap landing. Alright. Spoilers. I gotta bring the thrust levers back for spoilers. Here come the spoilers. And the spoilers go away at a certain speed, like they would in a lot of planes. Alright, good. So let's go ahead. We'll re-engage the rotors. Spool up. Fans are engaged. So there, that would simulate like what a assisted takeoff would be, taking off with the rotors and the fans. So we'd take off like 80 knots or earlier. Like I think we could take off at like 40 knots doing an assisted takeoff. So you can see we can go much slower. We're doing like 64 knots right now because the rotors are helping us. Gears coming up. Start speeding up. Yeah, this functions much better letting the pilot control it. Alright, now we're going to do a vertical landing. So you notice the rotors are already disengaged, but we leave them armed. Alright, so now when we go below a certain speed, it's going to automatically engage the rotors. So we'll go do a vertical landing over at FJ. Hello there, Owl. How are you? Maybe use a little bit more rudder input in there. It's not too bad. I got the wheels are kind of pushing up into the body. I did extra wheels in the mains, so that's could be doing a little phantom physics. Gotta keep an eye on that. All right, landing gear's coming down. You can see I doubled up the wheels there. Give it a little bit more beefy of a look. All right, so we're gonna do a vertical landing here on the runway. It will be more like an assisted landing, so we're going to start just slowing down, and because the rotors are still engaged, they're going to automatically come in at about 85 knots. There they go. They're starting to clutch in as we slow down. So we're doing an assisted landing now. You can see they're fully spun up. And so now we can come in much, much, much slower. So this would be good for like very short fields where you still can use the wings because you get too slow. If you're moving at 0 knots, the wings are doing nothing. If you're moving at 65 knots, the wings aren't enough to just hold the plane up on their own, but they are helping. And so you can see we can come in very slow because of that. And so we can use very small runways. You can see we're still coming in at like 50 knots here. All right, there we go. Spoilers and brakes. Spoilers won't come out at the speed. All right, so that all works really well. And then if we want to do a full-on vertical landing, let's get rid of fans. So that will disengage the fans. I gotta fix my own control of this. Like, if I put it on the autopilot, it'll work better. But the way I have it set up for right now is wrong, so I gotta fix that. But you're like, here, we can go do this, put on altitude hold of, I don't know, 250. This will run it fine. And then 084. I gotta just fix the way I'm running the system. Let it stabilize here in a second. Just let it stabilize on its own. Catch up with chat. Hello there, Aiden. How are you? How's it going, Rasmus? How are you? No, I'm not putting reverse thrust in the engines because it can vertically land, so there's no point. Yeah, there's not really any point. I was thinking about it, but there's really no point. Because I can, like you saw, I can approach at 50 knots if I wanted to. So if I really needed to get stopped, I would just, I would turn the rotors on and come in at 50 knots. Alright, so to vertically land now, we just keep the turbofans disengaged. Let's go down to 30 feet. That's a little bit aggressive, but I'm just going to let it do it. There we go. Rotors are probably a little bit fast, so I might, yeah, nah, not too bad, actually. It's a little bit too high of a collective value because this was on a different airplane, so this has more rotors than that airplane. And then we can disengage the rotors by either doing that and or reducing the thrust. So I gotta work on my own rotor control here. Alright, then we would re-engage the turbofans. And taxi in. It's just as much better, I think, having the pilot actually control the systems how they want to control it instead of having the yeah, to have the pilot control the systems instead of just having the plane do it. Because I like so much of that automation stuff. It's people who've never operated these complex machines before, so they don't understand that it's like you as the pilot want to be in charge of what's going on. You don't want the plane doing random shit. You want to be controlling it at all times. You know, it needs to be predictable. Like some markings in this hangar so I know where my center line is. Alright, so I gotta fix the... I think it's in the autopilot. Let me see. Let's undo what I did. I did all this bullshit over here. Let's undo that and just add that to here again. And we'll see how that functions for me. Because I put all this in, essentially that is changing it up a little bit so that it only works when I... It's not as abrupt, but now I don't need that as much, so let's do that. Should give me better vertical control. I'm happy with these numbers right now. Let's go ahead and we'll kill this. I was happy with how it flew. It was a little bit touchy, but it wasn't terrible. Let's save it. Yeah. But, like, for example, in the 145, there were issues with thrust reversers accidentally indicating that they were unlocked in flight. So they, for example, most landings, we didn't use thrust reversers for that reason. You know, most jets, you're coming in at, like, 120 plus knots. So you'll need the thrust reverser to help slow down, save your brakes. With this, I don't really need that because I have the rotors that can assist me. So if I had a short runway in a jet, I would want to be hammering on thrust reversers and brakes. If I had a short runway in this, I would turn on the rotors and I'd come in slow. You know, because I could, again, I could land vertically, so I could come in really slow. All right, I'm going to save this, take a quick coffee break. I'll try to kick this headache. I'm going to grab some coffee and take a pill, and I will be right back. Alright, I am returned here. Let's fix this real quick so I don't forget to do this at the end. Alright, good. Catch up to our chat. Raining 10 days in a row. Yeah, it was supposed to rain here yesterday, and it did not. It rained for a little bit, but I thought it was supposed to rain all day. I had rainy day plans, and got sunny day plans. Yeah, conventional land, like, the other thing, too, is, like, everything stops really slow and really fast in game. The issues is, like, I was thinking about adding thrust reversers. What I'll probably do is when I am going to make a version of this that doesn't do vertical landings if we get cargo that I can run. This is all I'd have to do thrust reverses and make this go negative on that. Yeah, let me see what this is set to real quick. 6-1 on those. Okay. All right, let's see. I'm pretty content with this so far. Let's save this. I want to work on some accessory vehicles. That's one thing that you know, a lot of people who lose inspiration, like I do myself sometimes. One way I get back into being inspired to build is it happened with like all the mining equipment. It happened when I took a break around pressurization update. When I went and played some farming sim, then I built a bunch of farming equipment, and so it's like often it's, you know, when you start building something, it's going to need other vehicles to help with it. That's why I like building home ships, is it gives me like 10 vehicles I need to build. So like with this, I like to make a new suite of accessory vehicles that can operate with this, new pallets. I want to do maybe a multiplayer cargo series, and so you know, all that stuff kind of, you know, it gives you some excuses to build certain items. I decide something here. That works. All right, that's fine right there. Let's see. So that's saved. Let's make... Aside, the crab was giving me some problems the other day. So I put some systems in here off screen. So like for example, right here is a panel. I divided this into essentially 3 sections. So we have section 1 here, which is 21 blocks apiece. So 21 from here, the center section, and then the rear section. So we have 3 sections. I should probably mark them. But they have breaks. And so when I put container 1 in, I would lock section 1. Then I put in container 2, and I would lock sections 2 and 3. The last one here is these last 5 grippers. I can disengage them so that as the container is getting pushed out the back, it will then tip because, you know, you want it to kind of follow the ramp and not stick straight out. So that's what that is. Added that. This is the remote control for the gantry crane. I haven't showed you guys that. Let me show you a couple of these things here. I forgot there was a bunch I worked on off screen. Let me fix this friggin' gear too. The gear is not working right. Let me see what's up with the gear. This is what that's all about. Okay, that's an easy fix. I redid a bunch of the hips, so I needed to repower them. Let's see if that fixes it. No. Infinite electricity fix that? Okay, infinite electricity fixes it, but that doesn't. Oh, you know what it is? It's hydraulics. That's what it is. It's the hydraulics. Yeah, the hydraulics actuate the door. If the hydraulics aren't on, that door won't work. So that makes sense. That's fine. And that's why they weren't working. So that all makes sense. Let's go inside. Infinite electricity should be off. It is. Okay. So I have the gantry crane. I didn't really show you guys me working on it. But again, here's the system that if I click this one, we now have brakes on the first 21. As you can see, no brakes. Center section and rear. That one's fucked up. I gotta fix that. Okay. And then that's the release for the rear. And then you put in the frequency you want on the gantry crane. I usually use channel 6, and the problem with that is I have other things that are hard-coded to channel 6, so this allows me to put it on, say, channel 5. And then I can move the gantry crane. And so that's the gantry crane for loading and unloading. This will load 2 containers. It sits high enough that what you'll do is you'll push it off. I'll show you that some other time. Loading, but you go back, you grab the container, you pick up the front of the container, you drag it on board, you push it all the way to the front here. Where can I reach to? Yeah, so what I could do is you push it to here. What I did last time was I pushed it here. It won't be all the way where it needs to go. So you push it here, and then you would lock the first section. You would then disconnect the gantry crane, and you would probably grab the back of the connectors of the back'em. Disconnect that. And so what I'll do is I'll put it on the remote control that I can control. That's why those are push buttons, is that I can control them remotely. So I'll be able to do it on the remote too. I'll be able to lock them. Then you grab the back, you'd unlock the front section, rather, and you pull it back until it's where it needs to go. Lock the front section. You would go get the second container, load the second container, bring the second container all the way in where it goes, lock those 2, and then you're good to go. So that's with 2 containers. The pallets lock themselves onto the center track segments. So this can also load pallets in the middle. What else? I'm going to put a couple chairs here and here, I think. Yeah, did a little bit of resculpting on the exterior. Redid this area in here. Like it a little bit better. Redid the, I thickened up. This had the exact same hips as Night Owl, just stretched a little bit to add an extra wheel. And then I went back and I made them look more proportional. Yeah, let me quickly save this. All right, good. All right, so let's see. What do I want to work on? I'm thinking let's do a huffer cart. I already have a huffer cart. I already have something else, but a ground power unit. But I want to make a dual unit. So here's my huffer cart. I want to make a new one. So let's see. All right, huffer GPU cart. Oh, it was in the modular engine tutorial. Part 4 is the generator. So I put out the part 1 of the cooling tutorial. If you guys would watch that, that has some good stuff on there. Go into detail on that. It's going to be a series. That way I can get into some of the minutia. And the people who want to watch just like, what works best, like they can watch that. And then if people actually want to learn the independent mechanics can watch further things. Again, you often get people like, oh, I don't want to watch an hour video for it. It's like, well, if you want to learn how things work in the game, you gotta learn it. There's nothing around that. If you want just somebody say, do this, and you do that, and it work, that's fine. But when something changes, it may not work. So that's fine as well. But I tend to find it easier if you learn the thing, you can then make the fixes, and it cuts down on frustration. I think a lot of people just try to take the shortcut, and that generally doesn't work all that well. That's kind of by learning the mechanics and understanding why the mechanics work, you can then extrapolate and make changes. Like, for example, part of what's coming up next in that series is going to be talking about the relationship of like load to RPS, where 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay, as there's essentially a relationship there. So you can run a modular engine at high RPS and low load and not overheat, or you can run it at low RPS and high load and overheat, or you can run it at some combination of the two and overheat, or you can make sure that your load and your RPS are balanced in a way that you don't overheat. And so that's where a lot of people get hung up, is they're like, I lowered the RPS and it's, I have engine A and it runs at 30 RPS and it doesn't overheat, and I have engine B that runs at 30 RPS and does overheat. Doesn't make any sense. It does. Your load is different. All right, there we go. Yeah, it's just that relationship that you got to kind of understand. Let's see. We do have to do a large if I do that. Let's see. Let's undo that. I'm trying to keep this compact and small, so what I want to do is music needs to be fixed. I would like the devs to add composite onto the small pivots so that I don't have to do this. So what I'm essentially doing here is I'm putting in a pintle connection, and I need the to show the current rotation, and you don't get that unless you go to the larger pivot here. So that's a little bit obnoxious. Go. The thing everybody forgets to do on the build challenges drives me nuts, is leaving their builds sky high. All right, infinite electricity's on. I can't tell what it's doing here. Oh, that's why. Okay, let me fix this. I guess it was, yes, I flipped it and then never flipped it again. Okay. Yeah, I flipped it, never flipped it again. Doesn't matter, really. Which direction is that? That is solid left. That'll work. All right. I'm not powering them, so that really doesn't matter. There we go. They're both moving in the same direction. All right. It looks like about a quarter. This is one way to do it. You could do it with just putting a put the wheels on the rotation, but you need to jack up how high the trailer is. The hell is it? There it is. The hill. There you go. That's 1-to-1 now. Okay, good. That'll work. Alright, any new chat? How's work on the record going? I haven't really worked on it recently. I haven't touched it in a little while. I pretty much just need to dress it up. It's kind of the phase that I'm not really like looking forward to, but I need to get to that at some point. Do it. But it's pretty much, it's functional. It just needs like it needs toolboxes. It needs some dressing. That's it. That's pretty much there. All right, let's start by. Okay, and then this here can go. Okay. Puffer carts are so friggin' loud, IRL. They're incredibly loud and obnoxious. They really are. Not that we need it, but... We'll do some of the new stuff that I've been doing. Okay, we don't need to over battery this. A lot of people just over battery everything. Let's go engine mounts here. We're gonna have like gradient in here, so I'll be able to see it a little bit. So. Probably want to grab. Do we supercharge this is the question. Probably not. Might do it. Yeah. I think we'll put that actually we're over there. Okay. Could just bleed it off of that, but could bleed it off the pneumatic system, but it's not really accurate how you would do it, so. I'm a slave to accuracy. Let's see. Missed that. There it is. What do you got for a gap on there? 3 bangers? Nice. Ah, you son of a bitch. Of course it's between the axles. Why wouldn't it be between the axles? Catch up on chat here. Yeah, huffer car is basically just the big compressor. This is going to be a huffer and GPU, so it's going to produce both electricity and huffer and air. Generally, they're separate carts, but again, it's just little old me operating this a lot of times, so it's like, why I have 2 carts? I'll run 1 cart to do both, and I'm rarely probably going to use the huffer cart, so. Okay, let's go. Yeah, but this starts jet engine, so I have that already built into the system. It's on the cap air jet actually as well, so that you can do air starts. Because, like, for example, if your APU is inoperative, you would use a huffer cart. And they're loud and obnoxious. You gotta have them towed over, you gotta call for it. If they don't have it ready, you gotta get them to bring it because you need it. You can't start without it. And then you gotta make sure you have ground power wherever you go, so it's kind of a pain. Okay, what else do we need? That fuel, we've got air. And control panel will go right here. So if you watch the cooling video, I tend to prefer to use the electric motors and impellers now. I'm just gonna use a straight standard module pump on this one, just because like this is not gonna need a lot of cooling, likely because it's really not running all that high. And then T-piecing off a tank has been helping. Because it's increasing, in my estimation, it's increasing the amount of liquid in the system. So theoretically, I think if the devs would increase the liquid in the system, which I'm not advocating that they do, but I think if that were the case, we'd probably see the same results as long as the same amount of fluid is in the system. But that would be my guess of why that's working. I don't really want that sticking out like that. Let's do this. I don't want to see the pipe connection out the side panel, so let's do this. Watch the video. I go into good detail. It's only 34 minutes long. There we go. Start plumbing. Clutch. Fuel manifold. I might... Do I clutch the huffer? I don't know if I do. Let's see. I think I keep it simple. There's no point in going overboard with this. How's the battery? Did I not put the battery in it? I didn't. I flirted with putting the battery in and then I didn't end up doing it, so let's put the battery in. Just need the one. Start generator, huh? Okay, that's that. Radiator fan, don't need that. And then we just need the engine. There we go. All right. Let's see, so we need air. Yeah, we need air. We're gonna need electricity and then panels and fuel. Okay. That is, if that's fuel, that's a pain in the ass. That's not gonna work. Let's see. Let's put fuel right here. I really didn't want to stack these together because of cause problems. Put that there and then do that. 2 on that. Check the count. Can't count for shit here right now. Another thing that was added in the pressurization update, which is convenient, is the addition of those fluid ports that are only 1 block. Those are nice. I like that. Okay. See how high I stand. I want to make sure that panel's not too low. Oh, perfect. All right. All right. Let's see, what do we need to really turn anything else on and off? I don't believe we do. Off's the right position, okay. Okay. Let's see. Alright, that flushes all that out nicely. Let's go. Mana. I think that's excessive. Let's go. It's better. Alright. One thing I didn't want to paint, I ended up painting up there. In a second. Alright. Alright. Alright, that's good. Let's see. What else do we need? I think we're pretty good here. Let's see. Just need to run out some numbers on this. Got some frivolous this and that I can get rid of, but we're pretty good so far. So. think that's it there. I hate it how I have to, like, my tutorial builds, like, I keep the lines all gross because I want people to be able to follow the tracks, and I personally don't like it myself. I like them cleaned up, so I make it for myself. I gotta clean it up. Yuck, it's all over the place. Gross. There we go. Much better. Let's see. It fixes the brain problem. Let's see. What do we want? All right, we gotta start writing out the panel. All right, so we got fuel. Okay. We'll do liters is fine. All right, now that's RPM. Wait, temp. How's that working? 4. Yep, 4 is temp. What was 5? 5 is bat. Okay, so bat. That's percentages now. Percent of bat. And we need the voltage. All right, voltage, and then we have PSI, so I need that in there. Let's see. $734 divided by 14.69. Say 49. All right, good. So let's plumb all this in. All right, that should be good. Let's see what else. Do we need anything else? Yes, a bunch of stuff. Fuel tank. Huffer PSI. Is that it? I think that's it. What's that? Nope, yep, that's good. I think we're good. Yep, alright, we're good. Alright, so that's pretty good. Let's go check the cart real quick again. Alright, so the wheels move fine. Put a manual brake on this. It could just chalk the sucker too. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Let's see. If I put that through there, I should be able to. I can't run that, unfortunately. Let's see. It's got to be a 3-banger. Yeah, let's not do that much. Shit, I gotta do one at least. Like, real super duper simple here. Make sure input electricity's off. It is. Okay, good. Brakes should be on. Gotta paint that. Brakes true. Yep, not going anywhere. Press that off. Now we can push it. Brake back on. Good. So, IRL, like, generally speaking, if it's less than 4,000 pounds, you don't need brakes on it. So, that's not anywhere near 4,000 pounds. Yeah, exactly. It's literally broken cooling. Yep. They're huffers because it's huffing air. All right, let's go ahead and save this. All right, what do I have for tugs? I would like a new. This one here is an electric tug. I would like to make a new hybrid tug. Let's go ahead and grab the huffer. Maybe I put a hose on there too. That drives really nicely. So one of the things with this, you can stack the carts. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this type of steering method. is you do this, it will follow the cart in front of it. So you could put on 3 or 4 carts, and it'll follow the cart in front of it. So I need a hose as well. I need a hose and a cable. So. Don't do that, please. I think that's fine, like that. These are tall. That's kind of why I was thinking about doing it, but all right. All right. Let's take this out. Let's run it real quick. I haven't run it yet. All right. All right. So let's see. I did not hook electricity up to the panel, I don't think. I did. I put panel in. Panel's going in. Why are we reading nothing on some of these? That's what I want to know. Let's go look. RPM temp. Why is none of the... Oh, let's see. I don't think I hooked it up in the logic. That would be why. I never hooked it to the panel. That's why it's being annoying. That would do it. Alright. Check it out. See how it runs. Just kill the music real quick so I can hear it. Don't need that on. Alright, so fuel's good. 140 liters, we'll do 145. RPM's fine. Temperature is fine. Battery is good. PSI is coming up. That's not high enough. Why is that not coming up? Oh, because it's not drawing electrical load. So here, we need to add a second condition on here. That's all right. What was it running at? 14 something. What we'll do here is... Why? Oh, I paused the music. Why is the music off? Because I paused it. Let's go here. Yeah, we need to add it so that it also takes into consideration the huffer. Because what it's doing is it's not revving up at all because we're not using any electricity. But the problem is I also need to rev up to use the huffer. So go like this. And then let's say, oh, I don't know. We'll say I got it as 49. Let's go 52. Let's see. Huffer set limit 52 right there. Okay, process. Where's the Huffer PSI? Is right there. There we go. Zing, zang, and zong. Okay. That's gonna be crooked, which annoys me, but whatever. I can move. There we go. Bingo. That will stop the nuisance of that. Alright. That should be fine. And then what we'll do here is mana. No, let's do this. Yeah, just add them. Why am I making this difficult? I'm not going to be too ugly about the connection here. There we go. Ugh. Go like that, I guess. Put it in the middle. There we go. Alright, so that we'll just add these together. So now the Huffer will also... So, like, when the Huffer value is below, it will rev up the engine. As soon as the pressure gets enough, it will stop. So we'll pre-pressurize the tank. And so, for example, say we're not going to use the Huffer, we're only going to use the ground power. It will pressurize the tank, and then it will rev down and only do what we need for electricity. Alright, so now we expect this to rev up for the Huffer. There it goes. So see, now it's revving up till the pressure is in the tank, and then it should stop. There we go, we got green light. And then I've got it, let me see, what did I put in there? 51 divided by 14.69, 30, what the hell? 749. So every time it dips below 749, it's re-revving, which is fine. I'm not really opposed to that. Like, look at the temp. Temp's going up barely. I'm not worried about it. Just, like, the pump won't even come on until we get there. Alright, let's take this out. And then we'll bring in the jet and we'll do an air start. Slamming the brakes, make sure... Again, we don't have brakes on the trailer because it's light enough. IRL, it would be light enough. But, you can see it wants to come around. You wouldn't want to slam the brakes. Just take your time like that and it's fine. So, okay, let's go ahead and launch the jet and we'll plug in the Huffer cart. Alright, so we'll do an air start. Kind of like these industrial builds. We'll see you later there, Rasmus. Thanks for hanging out. Like these industrial builds because, like the cart here, because it can be a box. Like, that's what they really look like. Because why the hell are they... Why are they decorating them? It's not a Ferrari, it's a box to put a compressor in. Oh, shit. Don't do that, come on. Don't be jackass here. There we go. Alright. So, open up the access port for the Huffer. Hose. Huffer. I don't need that flip switch on, but there's the Huffer connected. Alright, so now let's go in the plane. So those gear doors are going to sit out like that until we turn the hydraulics on. Then they'll flatten out, or they'll stow. All right, so if we jump in our seat, pick a battery. Now let's test the ground power too. I have not tested ground power yet. I'm going to be turning this on and off 9 times here. Let's just keep the door open. All right, so let's do ground power as well. All right, it's on. I already turned it on. All right, let's come under here. They usually are in separate areas. All right, so now I don't have this plugged in, but now we're taking electricity from the huffer cart. When I plug it in, it's now available. So you come in, and now we do ground power connect. So see battery A, and there goes battery A. So we're taking power from the cart now. So generally, like, these will often be on the gate, so they'll either come from the actual facility's electricity, or you might even have a generator on the jet bridge. Or it's a cart they park next to the plane, because, like, your APU burns 120 pounds of jet fuel per hour. The huffer cart, the GPU burns barely anything, and it's usually diesel or something. All right, so we're going to use... So this is acting as though the APU is inoperable. So what we're going to do is, should be able to see, so the pneumatics are showing, let me put on Power Connect here. So you see the pneumatics is showing standard atmospheres. And then if we put the crossbleed on, that is from the huffer cart. So you can see we're taking air from the huffer cart now. And we'll air start our engine. Now, generally speaking, you do not start both engines with the huffer cart. Alright, so you would start with the huffer cart, then you would call to the ground crew and have them detach the huffer cart. So they would then detach the huffer cart. Alright, so now, as you can see, we do have pneumatics, but it's coming from the left engine. So then we would cross-bleed to the right engine. Notice, I talked about this before, if you half the volume, or if you double the volume, you half the pressure. So I just doubled the volume. You can see the test here, watch. It's not going to rev up again, but we're essentially at 7 something, close to 8. We've doubled the volume. We didn't quite double the volume. You can tell because, you know, we have more than, you know, half the pressure. So if you double the volume, you half the pressure. So if you need 800 PSI and you double your volume by opening the valve, right, you're now down to 400. And so 400 is not enough for a start. I need 734. So what you do is this left engine's running. I want the right engine to run now. So what I do is I spool up the engine I'm going to use to crossbleed. So you'd spool it up. We'll see if I can get there. There we go. So once I get to 734, we're going to blow 2. 2's blown, we bring it back. And that's exactly how it would work IRL. And you wouldn't do this in the hangar. You do not rev your engine like that. You'll blow the hangar apart. You go out generally to there's an area where you're allowed to do it. Right, so now that my 2 engines are up and running, so this would simulate like if an APU was broken. So now what we would do is we'd turn on generators 1 and 2, and we would disconnect the ground power. All right, and now we're on our own power, you can see. So if I put hydraulics A and B, you'll see when the hydraulics come up. And there comes the hydraulics. Again, simulated by the pressurization major update, which people whine and bitch about, that there's no use for it. And now if you notice, the doors have worked because they're hydraulic doors. All right. So now you would call to the ground crew. You usually have a plug-in. I assume they're still doing a plug-in. You grab your cable. Shut this off altogether. All right, you would shut your ground services panel. I'm going to move away before I shut the huffer panel. All right. Now, generally, you would not want engine 2 running while you're near it, so that's why we would start engine number 1. That's one of the reasons why often the huffer access is on the number 2 side, because most jets are set up so that they will taxi out on number 1. And so the huffer will be on the starboard side of the jet. So that's why it's on that side. All right, so there we go. We're clear. All right, now that we're clear of the area, we can shut the huffer door. Theoretically. There we go. Okay. Huffer door is now shut. Shut that. Beautiful. Alright, now you see we're crooked, so we need to get out of here. It was one of the reasons why I keep my engines independent. Let's actually go. We need to do... I'm stuck behind the pillar, I bet. Am I stuck behind the pillar? No, not quite. We're close. So now I'm taxiing out. I'm using my starboard engine, my number 2, to turn me, to help me taxi. So this is stuff you do IRL with asymmetrical thrust to move. There we go. All right, now we bring up 1, and I'm gonna bring them both down. I'm gonna bring them both down to match, and now they're back synced. All right, so that's an air start. So that's what the huffer card is used for. You know, you wouldn't want your APU running. In this case, I've got a diesel APU, but IRL, you have a turbine running that burns a ton of fuel. So, are you offended that I know things? Citrus, I know. Isn't that terrible? It's better if I just, like, don't know anything and... yeah. Be jealous. Windshield heat. The reason you do windshield heat is not for ice. The reason you have windshield heat is if you were to hit something in the air, like, say, a bird, if the windshield's too cold, it has more of a chance to crack or shatter. If it's warmed up, it is more flexible. And so it's all about if you hit something... you know, like hail. Hail is not something you want to be going through. So if you were to hit hail, you would want that. I changed the rotors over. I did. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a vertical takeoff because I changed the rotors over. Here's rotor engagement. Full flaps. Start spooling up the engines. There goes the rotors. And let's get off that. I want to manually make sure I'm controlling this. Yep. Okay, we're manually controlling it now. Okay, there we go. I'm terrible at flying outside. I gotta fly first person. Like I know all the cues in first person. Third's weird to me. All right, there are people who fly RC better than than they would ever sit inside. I can't do it. I need to be inside. I lose perspective. So this is without the auto hover on. My hands are off. So a little bit of control. That's all the auto hover is doing. Again, if you're plane stable, you don't need much in the way of auto hover. Like here, I'll tell you when I take my hands off. Let me get stable, take my hands off. All right. Hands are coming off. Hands are off. All right. So that's got a little bit of instability. It wants to lean towards the back. That's because the CG is a little bit aft. But it's manageable. Like, here's me controlling it again. Very minimal controls, and I've got it stabilized. Like, all the auto hover is doing is it's doing that for you. It's doing those little stabilization. That's why when people bitch about the gyro being terrible, it isn't. They built a plane that is super unstable, and they want the gyro to magically just know how to fly the plane, and it doesn't. The gyro just knows how to smooth out the motions. That's it. The gyro tries to keep you from pitching and rolling and yawing. That's why I don't like flying with that auto hover on. Is like it's trying to fight me the whole time. It wants to go back to center, so it's fighting me. So like here's me going right. and it's fighting me. And now I let go, and it wants to go back to being flat. So it's gonna go left and try to stop the momentum, which is fine. That's what you want if you want to hover. But when I want to fly and I want to do things, I want to take it off, and I want to have that controllability. So I want to pitch the nose down, I want to go right, and I want to go over to the far dock where the fishing cell point is. So I don't want it fighting me the whole time. I want to do it. So I want to pitch the nose down excessively to get there faster. Then I want to pick the nose up to fix that, you know. So that looks like I overstressed. Yeah, I overthrusted it, so. So it looks like we must be up over 60 RPS in the rotors. That's something I gotta work on. I gotta fix that. That's just PID tuning. That's all the auto hover is doing is stabilize. It's trying to smooth everything out and make you so you're not moving. And then we go ahead and we'll clutch in the fan. Here we go. Fans are coming in slowly to start moving us forward. And now we're going to fly like a plane. And I'm going to get that auto hover off again because I don't want it fighting me. I want to do what I'm going to do. What? Did I trim something? Something's up. I can't pitch. What the hell's going on here? Is it just the flaps? It could be the flaps. We're at such a high speed. I think that's what it is. Yeah, you would not be going 300 knots with full flaps. That's what would happen, was you'd have excessive deck angle. Generally, like the last two jets I've flown, I think, what was the Eclipse 500, I think, was 220 on first notch of flaps. The 145 was 250 on the first notch of flaps, so you could drop gear, put in your first notch of flaps. Then I think it was 220, and yeah, I think it's 220 for the rest of them. You don't want to be running, the with full flaps and high speed. That's not the point. A little bit of flutter. I gotta fix that. I just gotta tune things out. Like, see, it's off right now. Auto hover is off. Again, the plane is set up to fly correctly. It has to do very little. So now if I put auto hover on, all it's going to do is pitch the nose up and try to keep me from rolling. That's it. It's like an old pitch leveler, wing leveler in old school airplanes. That's all it's doing. You know, it's a very basic system to try to help smooth things out. It's not a complicated system, and so people are treating it as though, because a lot of games, again, they don't show you what a real airplane flies like. They don't show you what a real truck drives like. They do a cartoon arcade version that's easily approachable, so somebody on day one can fly an airplane. They don't have to take 2 months to learn how to fly an airplane. You know, go fly on the hardest mode on Flight Sim and see all the problems that you would have flying. Like, you're going to have P factor, torque. You know, you're going to have stalls. You're going to have high angle of attack issues. You know, you're going to have slips and spins and spirals and all these things that are going to start to have problems. Weather vaning, you know. You know, in a lot of games, you can kick the rudder and turn an airplane. Go do that in real life. Kick the rudder, the plane's it's gonna give you a tiny bit of turn, and then the wind, you're gonna turn the whole side of the airplane against the wind. And so you now have an enormous surface that's trying to push through the wind. And guess what it's gonna say? Nope, sorry, not happening. So that's why you can't make yaw turns. You can turn a small amount with the yaw, but you're not turning much. Plus, start getting into big aircraft doing that stuff, you will rip the tail off. They ripped the tail off an A300 doing that. You know, it's like, you do not do that in large aircraft. You do what you're supposed to do. Here, want to turn? You roll and coordinate with rudder. That's it. Roll and coordinate with rudder. The upper wing wants to turn faster than the downwind wing, and it will cause you to turn. You know, in a twin-engine jet, you can pretty much keep your feet on the floor. You don't need any rudder on that. You know, I simulate it in game with a little bit of auto rudder from the systems, but you know, IRL, you can keep your feet flat on the floor. Don't need that. You know, put some spoilers up. You would not be running, like, in a lot of modern aircraft, you cannot put the spoilers out with full throttle. It will, you know, you have a thrust lever setting. So, like here. So, if your thrust lever angle, your TLA, is too high, it will not let the spoilers come up. You know, so you have a maximum TLA for your spoilers to come up. And spoilers do what their name implies. It spoils lift. So that is giving us negative lift in the wing. So it's essentially like we have a smaller wing helping us descend. So you can descend at a higher descent rate. VSI is not working. I gotta fix that. Let's put that on my to-do list. You know, so a lot of these things, like, I get it when people are like, oh, the planes suck at stormworks, and it's like, no. The planes are, I say, more realistic. I know a lot of people like to argue about that, but it's a little bit more, I'll just say it, screw it. It's more realistic, and so you have to think about all these things like torque, and you have to think of drag, and you have to think, like, there is drag. These spoilers at 45 degrees are creating a ton of drag. You know, the flaps are creating a ton of drag. You know, and you have to consider these things. And most games are very simplified. They're afraid, oh, well, people aren't going to get it. It's going to be too hard. We're not going to get enough people to play the game, so we'll oversimplify it. And stormworks does simplify it to a certain extent, but you know, it's less simplified. And so when people are like, oh, the planes do this weird thing, it's like, no, that is called torque. You know, torque is real. You know, it doesn't do P factor. You know, people would be losing their mind if the game had P factor in it. Put VSI in up. You know, people would be losing their mind if it had P factor. You know, spoilers are coming down. Yeah, because they wouldn't understand it, and it's fine. You know, most people haven't taken an aerodynamics course, but it's you know, that the cool thing about it is you can get really deep in the weeds. What are we at? 197. Let's cook, and I'm gonna do a loop. You could do a loop in a plane like this. You're not doing a flat loop. You gotta we try to get a loop going here. I'm gonna do a loop how I do it at IRL. First of all, you're not doing it at 400 feet. Gonna go up on our tail. Let's climb. After building up speed like that, yes, you could climb like this, but you about right here, you'd start to lose speed, and you'd need to drop your nose down, drop that deck angle. You would not maintain your speed like that in a plane this size. All right, there's about 6,000 feet. All right, so you gain a little airspeed, you drop the nose. You use up to 1,000 feet to gain some airspeed. There's 1,000 feet. Let's go into a loop. Try to keep positive 1G so every bit of dirt that's on the plane doesn't end up in your face. That will happen. Try to hold 1G throughout the whole maneuver. Watch your altitude. We're coming back around 5. There's 4. And there's 3. So we lost about 3,000 feet of altitude. That pretty much makes sense. Snap roll, nose up, start with an aileron, kick that rudder. Push the elevators up. Leave the elevators neutral there. Keep it coming, pull the elevator down gently, try to maintain 1G throughout the maneuver. You know, you're not going to get fast rolls in a plane like this. They're designed to be stable. They're not designed to do it. They're actually designed not to do it. Yeah, no toga. Or Togo. I think we had Togo. It's Toga, but I think... why? Let me see. I'm trying to remember. There's Togo, Toga. It depends on, like... I forget which planes had the Togo. Because it was takeoff or go, as some of them, and then togas, takeoff, go around. So some of them had the different nomenclature. Generally, I think most of them are togas now. But all that's really doing is it's recycling your flight director. It is... Some of them close the bleeds. Our system was different. Our system was more modern. It would close the bleeds based on thrust lever angle. So it wasn't really on the button wouldn't do it. It was thrust lever angle. So your thrust lever angle would command that. Now we are doing a standard land. We got the rotors on. Let's shut the rotors off. So we're going to come in with a standard landing, no rotors into Draymore. Landing gears down, 3 green flaps are full. Also, this has a more modern spoiler system, so instead of arming the spoilers, if the thrust levers are back and we're over a certain speed, the spoilers will auto-deploy. Alright, coming in, we don't want to get too slow. We have a lot of flap on this airplane. Alright, pulling the thrust back. Spoilers aren't even going to come up until there they go. Until I get the thrust levers back quite a bit. See, the thrust levers are back. Spoilers come up. Now they automatically retract. That's how they do them in modern aircraft now, is generally they're based off of speed and thrust lever angle. So if you're on the ground, there's a bunch of things. If you're on the ground, so if your weight on wheel switch is depressed, and you have... your thrust levers are back a certain amount, the spoilers will come up, and you're over a certain speed. So 3 conditions, the spoilers will deploy, and then as soon as one of the conditions is not met, so you're still on the ground, your thrust levers are still back, but the thing that changed was your speed. Your speed is now low enough that the spoilers will retract. And then let's say you touch down, and oh my god, I have to do a go-around, touch and go. As soon as you put your thrust levers up, you're still on the ground, your speed is still high, but your thrust levers are up, spoilers will go away, so that you don't have spoilers out when you're trying to take off again. So then if I tap the brake, what I think I'm going to do is add in auto asymmetrical braking. So what will happen here is, it's easy IRL. What you would do is real simple. Back, forward, and that's it. Like, that's all I'd have to do. I did it too late, but... you know, so one thing I could add is auto asymmetrical brakes. So if I'm at 100% nose wheel angle to the left and I add brakes, it would only add brakes on the inboard side. Yeah. But the hover cart works well. That worked out. I'm liking the hover cart. Let's take this back. And let's make sure this cart is up to date. Want this in the main body. All right, let's save that. All right, good. So we now have a hover cart. It also does ground power unit. So hover GPU. Nice. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, so you'd press the toga buttons when you before takeoff. You click them, so you generally start taxiing out. Click, it would cycle the flight director for takeoff. Get the bleeds. Sometimes it controls the bleeds for the air conditioning units. It would then, if you're gonna do a go around, so like we had one going into Green Bay, they put the plows out on the road as we were about ready to land. They told us to go around. You throttle up, pitch up, click the buttons. The flight director goes from down, which is like showing you trying to land, to going above you for a go around. It cycles to the next waypoint, which if you have the instrument approach in there, it will be the go around point. So here, let me see if I can find. Let's see if I can find the one we were doing. ILS, was it Green Bay? I think no, it was Milwaukee. It's Milwaukee when we got sent around for the plows. My God. I don't need all the help there, Google AI bullshit. I really don't. It tries to help me, and it's like, you don't know anything. It's like trying to ask a toddler how to do something. Yeah, we're going to Mitchell. Literally, I'm on AirNav. You know what I want, AirNav? What the fuck? Google, you are so bad. Go to AirNav. What is going on with Google, man? They're trying, like, everybody's going into a bunch of bullshit with their, with AI, and it's just so fucking bad. Jesus Christ. Let's see. I think we're going into one left. Yeah, ILS one left. Right here. ILS one left. Did you have the approach anywhere? There it is. I don't want to download it. I just want to see it. Stand by. Just make me download it. Okay. Yeah, so we're going in here. So you would come in. Let's see. There's a missed approach procedure on here. So you would, let's see. If all localized are out, let's see. Where's missed approach? Climb to 1200, climbing left turn, 2900 direct BAE, VOR, DME. So you actually never do that. Here's Badger right here. Badger's BAE. So you would, as soon as you go around, you climb to 1200. Then you do a climbing left turn to 2900, direct to BAE, VOR right there, and hold. You'd never do that. You would start it. So you would generally start your climb, go to 1200, then you get vectors, they bring you back. It depends on why you went missed. If you went missed because you don't see the airport, you're going to your alternate. This is a problem like a lot of inexperienced pilots do. They will go in and they miss and they go right back for another one. Now, there are certain circumstances that you do that. Like if you have a couple clouds blowing over the airfield and you can see it's clear everywhere else, yeah. You let the clouds clear out, you come back. By the time you're back, they're gone, you land. If you cannot see the airport at, in this case, ILS 100 feet, about 200 feet, and then you go down to 100, do you see the runway lights? No. At that point, if you've gone down to 100 feet and you do not see the runway lights, do not go back. Go to your alternate. Because you're just burning fuel. So we wouldn't even go in. We would listen, and we would hear that a jet tried going in, and they went missed. And you'd ask, and they said, last 3 went missed. And you would go, okay, we're going to our alternate. You wouldn't even try. Why? Burning thousands of pounds of fuel, which is what keeps you alive. Nope. Getting out of here. Go to the alternate. Go back to Chicago. We'll wait it out. No point in killing everybody on board for that stuff. And this is how, like, a lot of low experienced pilots will get themselves killed is they'll come into Milwaukee, they'll live in Milwaukee. This will be their problem. They live in Milwaukee, so they have get-there-itis. They want to go to Milwaukee. They live in Milwaukee. They want to stay in they want to go home for the night. You know, the professionals are professionals. That's why they're professionals. And so the professionals like, oh, four jets missed Milwaukee. Okay, we're going to our alternate. We're going to Chicago. And ATC will go like, we'll ask, is anyone getting in? They go, no, 4 just went missed. And like, all right, we'll go to our alternate Chicago. And they'll vector you for Chicago. And then you'll get somebody in a tiny little airplane that has a lot less resources than we have in the big airplane, and they'll come in and they won't ask, is anyone getting in? But ATC will say that the last 4 jets have not made it in, and 4 jets have gone missed, and the rest seem to all be heading to their alternates. Because the ATC's job is not to tell you what to do. Your job is to tell ATC what you're going to do. And so the problem is an inexperienced pilot will listen to ATC instead of telling ATC. And so they'll say, oh, we'll try it. And so they'll go in and, like, literally you have jets with weather radar and company reports and, you know, the experienced and 2 pilots and the experience to ask, you know, has anyone made it in? They all decided to leave, and you and your little piddly airplane have decided, I'm going to go in. You go in and, oh my God, guess what? You didn't make it in. And then they say, well, you know, I want to go to bed tonight in Milwaukee, so I'll try it again. So they come around again. And what's going to happen? They're still not going to make it in. So now they've done 2 approaches, burned fuel, and now they have to go to Chicago. You know, and so that's when it gets ugly, is because they've just wasted 2 attempts where we're already halfway to Chicago. You know, and so we have all that extra fuel on board now because we didn't make the attempts. And so that's what gets people killed. And it's better, get the hell out of there. You know, there's no point sticking it. Screw. You know, and there's plenty of airports around there. You know, Green Bay. How far is Green Bay from Milwaukee? Probably not that far. Can't remember. Top of my head. Chicago is like less than 45 minutes, something like that. Well, it's 45 minutes in a jet, you know, going normal speeds. Because, you know, go back up over 10,000 feet, you're going to hit 300 knots. Cruise down, you're going to be back under 10,000 in no time. You'll be doing 250. You know, you're in a Cherokee doing 120 knots. You know, it's going to take you a long time. Yeah, it's usually poor planning gets people killed. What is that? Yes, that's exhaust on. That's not decoration. It works. Just you can pass right through the air, so it will pass right through there. Exhaust works. Just it's not. That's actively not doing anything. It's just, but it does work. Plenty of accidents because most pilots don't usually choose the alternate very. Well, you're supposed to choose your alternate. You know, that's the problem, is you as the pilot are almost always at fault. And it's for good reason, is it's your job to pick these things. You know, it's your job to pick it. Like, for example, we didn't do our own flight planning in the airlines. Dispatch does. But it is our fault if something happens because the flight plan is wrong. Because it is our job to look at the flight plan and say, what the hell is this? Why does this look like this? And call dispatch and go, change it. It is the captain's responsibility for fuel. If dispatch puts, you know, a standard fuel load on you and the weather's bad, it is the captain's job to call and ask for more fuel. And it's the first officer's job to say to the captain, why aren't you calling for more fuel? You know, which almost never happens. But every once in a while, I'd be like, that is not enough fuel. And the captain will be like, oh, thanks for letting me know. And they will put more fuel on. You know, that's one of the most important things when a captain becomes a captain for the first time is they go for a ride with one of the training captains and is making sure they have enough fuel on there. Like, they don't, like, you don't get they don't do gotcha tricks or shit where they try to underfuel you. Like, hey, we're going to get this one, we'll underfuel them. They don't do that shit. But, you know, you better be asking for fuel if the weather's bad. And you better be looking. Do we have extra fuel? Yep. It will say right there in your paperwork that you have an extra 2,000 pounds for the weather. You know, because you're supposed to go to, what are the rules again? Your alternate, you're supposed to go to your initial airport and then your alternate plus have at least 45 minutes after that. But we'd plan much more than that. You have company policies that generally much more than that. You know, overloading the plane, well, you never overload the plane, let's put it that way. The plane is never overloaded. The plane might have more fuel than it can land with, but that is not overloading the plane. You know, if you like the company will be pissed if you have to burn off 10,000 pounds of fuel because you're going to Green Bay from Chicago, but that never happens. It's kind of it's a silly example. It's you never do that. You know, you would like if you're going to like we'll look real quick. ORD to MKE. I'm trying to find some pictures here. I don't want flights, give me pictures. Like, it is not far from O'Hare to Milwaukee. It is right next door. It is an hour and 30 minutes via car. It's 81 miles. So, like, that's how far it is. So, for example, if we used to do this flight all the time out of Chicago. So, we would look at the weather. If the weather wasn't good enough, we didn't leave. We would stay in Chicago. You would have, and then plus we'd get a ground stop. If nobody was making it into Milwaukee, we'd be on ground stop. And we would fuel up the airplane. We would go sit, and we would sit out there. You know, like when people complain that, you know, they sit on the tarmac, which first of all, I don't like the term tarmac, but when they sit on the ramp for too long, we're on a ground stop. Like literally, ATC is slowing everything down because there's no point in launching us. Like they used to back in the day launch everybody when they didn't care about fuel burning. But now you go park. That's when you go out and you sit on the ramp for 2 hours. That's why you're sitting on the ramp for 2 hours. Is as soon as Milwaukee opens, all the jets start hammering out. And then normally you land one plane per minute. Generally when the weather's bad, you're landing one plane every 2 minutes. So you half the planes per hour. And they don't let you off the ground until, you know, it's your time because you got planes from all over the place going into Milwaukee. As soon as it's your turn, then you take off. And so you'll have a plane that's like sitting at the end of the runway and everybody's passing them. And people will be like, oh, we were first. Why are they all passing us? Because our airport is not accepting anybody yet. And then, so like they're going to Florida. They don't have to worry about the Milwaukee weather. They're all headed to Florida. You know, and everywhere else. And then when the ground stops up, we pass everybody else and go. You know, when it's our time. No, you don't wait on a de-ice. You de-ice when it's your turn. So if what you do is you have a holdover time, you have a ground stop time. So if my ground stop is at 17:30. And so I'm going to sit on the ground till 17:30, and I get type 4. Let me look see if I can find a type 4. Let's see, type 4 holdover times. Don't give me AI, please. I don't need AI. God, I don't need the AI. I really don't. There's a way to shut it off. It is such a pisser. I really wish they would just stop it. Like, Google is, like, everybody's so pissed off about the, oh my god, it's Word. I don't need Microsoft Word, thanks. You see, oh my god, stop downloading it. I don't want the downloads. I'm not using Word. Oh my god, they're so bad, man. Google is just, like, I finally found the right link. It's the same thing, it's just a different link. It depends on the airplane too, but like here's a holdover time. So you look, you check your temperature, what type, or type 1, 2, 3, or 4. The guy de-icing you will tell you what type you're gonna get. You would look, you'd see, okay, it is, let's say it's this is the temperature. That's type 4. You'd get the concentration, 75-25. You have 5 minutes, so you have to be off the ground in 5 minutes. So if my departure time on my ground stop is 17:40, at 17:37, I want to be de-iced because I would tell ATC, you know, we need to be off the ground in 5 minutes from de-ice. ATC would call us. They'd be you know, you're going to be off in 5. You'd say, okay, you'd call the de-icer. You say, I need to be de-iced now. They would de-ice you, and then you'd screw. You know, this is cold too. That's 14 degrees Fahrenheit. You know, that's generally not, you know, 14 degrees Fahrenheit is pretty cold. You know, generally, you're probably somewhere in this range here. So you're probably going to get, like, with this concentration, generally they're not using that low of a concentration. If the weather is that friggin' bad, they're going to be using 100. And so you're going to have 12 minutes. So if your ground stop departure time is 1740, at 1732, I want to be de-iced. Hit me. You're going to tell ATC, you know, latest we can depart is 1742. And they're going to bang you out at 1740 on the nose. And you're going to hit 1740, and boom, you're going to be rocketing down the runway. You're going to be in the air before your holdover time comes. Because if the holdover, or not the holdover time, yeah, holdover time. If the holdover time hits, you go back. If ATC calls you and it's 1742, you are taxiing back and you are de-icing again. So, you know, it's all about communication. You tell ATC when you say, I need, you know, you ask them, when am I leaving? They tell you. You tell the de-icers what time you want to be hit, and you tell ATC when you get hit. You tell them when I have to be off the ground, and they'll tell you before you get de-iced. Generally, they'll say, you know, 695, you're next for takeoff. Start de-icing, and they'll tell you the holdover time. You got 12 minutes. You'll call ATC. You go, we got 12-minute holdover time. We need to be off by, you know, if we de-iced at 35, right, it would be 47. We need to be off the ground by 47. You tell ATC, bingo, they bang you out at 45, you're good. You know, so it's all, you're looking at the timer the whole time. Yeah, so we do all, like if you ever listen, you can listen to ATC communication online. You know, you can tell when it's a private pilot. You can tell when it's generally a commercial pilot flying on their own. You can tell when it's a high time person. You can tell when it's a low time person, and you can tell when you have commercial pilots and airline pilots up there is they're not taking shit. They're telling ATC what they want, what they need. That's, you know, it's not questions anymore. It's telling ATC, like, I need to be off the ground by 47. And the ATC will come back. They know when they're talking to professionals that they're not dicking on you around either. So it's like, you tell ATC, I need to be off the ground by 47. ATC will tell you, is it going to happen or is it not going to happen? And ATC will say, hold off on your de-ice. We can't get you off until 1750. And you're like, okay. You'll call at 1745 and you go, like, is that 1750 time still looking good? We need to de-ice. And ATC, it's not a freaking surprise, is everybody at the airport needs to de-ice. Because everybody at the airport needs to de-ice, ATC is expecting everybody to want to know when they can de-ice. And ATC will call you to go 695 de-ice. And the trucks will literally be sitting next to you. You'll be sitting there on the pad. All the trucks will be around you. There'll be a guy plugged into your comms, and you know, you have a separate radio frequency sometimes. It depends. Sometimes they actually plug in. Sometimes you will be on the radio, on a separate radio, on radio 2. And so, like, if the captain is talking to ATC on 1, I'll be sitting on 2. And, you know, as soon as they give us the time, as soon as they say 695 de-ice, the captain hasn't even called back, and I'm on the radio with the de-icers. Hit us. And they give us our start time. We have 12 minutes from the start time. So if they hit us at 1745, you know, we've got 1757. And then he calls ATC and he goes, we started de-icing at this time. We get till 1757. ATC says, yep, we'll get you off. 1752 comes. They go 695, spin them up. So if we have any of our engines down, we spool them up at, what did I say, 52. So at 53, we can take off because we need our engine to spin for 1 minute before we can take off. As soon as the engine's spun for 1 minute to get the oil circulated and hot, we tell ATC we're good to go. ATC goes 695, clear for takeoff, and boom, gone. That's how it is. It's not farting around. Like, this is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of glycol and fuel and everything else. Nobody dicks around. It's all very heavily, specialized. Everybody knows what they're doing. Yeah. So it's all, everybody's ordered out. Like, the best de-icing we used to get is Montreal. Let me see if I can find it. But oh my god, am I sick of the AI? Like, Montreal is one of the best places. Toronto's Toronto, which I think I can't remember which I like better. Montreal was pretty good. Yeah, I think Montreal I liked best. I remember they speak French on the radio a lot, so it was, I think Montreal is what I'm thinking of. But if you look at Montreal, they have, let me see if I can open the image. The South absolutely blows. The southern U.S. blows at de-icing. They're the worst. They'd spray the flight attendant through the door. Like, the door doesn't seal until you get pressurized, so if they hit the door, they will blow glycol through the door and hit the flight attendant. It's friggin' obnoxious. Then we got to go to the hotel. But this is how they do it in Montreal. Is you go in and they have these digital boards, like on the side of the taxiway, and it will say your number, your aircraft number. So you'll pull in and you'll see your flight number, and you pull into the bay without talking to anybody because it says it. The guy who's in the bucket, in this one probably, this one I think has a driver. A lot of these, the guy in the bucket drives the truck. So there's one guy operating it from the bucket. They have a fully enclosed bucket. It's all hydraulically actuated. You can see they have the nozzle is hydraulically actuated. You can see all the sprayers, and then they drive the truck from the bucket. And they call you. There's a special radio frequency. It will say 695. Contact us on 126.55. You go to 126.55. They will tell you expected de-ice in 5 minutes. You call ATC, say we're going to be de-iced in 5. We'll start de-ice in 5. They go, they'll either tell us hold off or don't. We'll go call back. We'll say hold off on de-ice for, we'll let you know. And then, like, if you're in a proper place like Montreal, who knows what snow is because that's where they live, you don't have to tell them anything. They know what they're doing. They'll spray the wings and the tail. That's it. And look at the crew. What are they spraying? The wings and the tail. If you go to the southern U.S., they start spraying the body of the airplane, despite you telling them do not spray the body of the airplane. So you'll tell them in, oh my God, the South is the worst. Like, you'll be in Texas or something, and you'll tell them spray the wings and the tail, and you'll be like, well, I got to get the snow off the fuselage. And you go, no, you do not. Spray the wings and the tail. And they go, yeah, but I'm supposed... No. Spray the wings and the tail. And inevitably, if they don't listen to you, they spray the intakes for the air conditioning and they blow glycol all through the air conditioning unit. Or they spray the door and they hit the flight attendant, and then we're going back to the gate. We're going to the hotel. Because the flight attendant is now covered in glycol. And so it's just... De-icing in the South sucks because they don't know anything because they never do it. And you'll tell them what to do, and they will still be like, well, my boss told me this. And it's like, I don't care what your boss told you. Spray the wings and the tail. That's it. No other bullshit. I don't want you spraying the body. I don't want you spraying the door. I don't want you spraying the air conditioning inlets. I don't want you spraying the engines especially. Spray the wings and the tail and let me get out of this place and never come back. So it's... Oh, my God. They spray the body of the friggin' airplane all the time. It's like... And you'll get on the radio, be like, why are you spraying my windshield? And they'll be like, well, there's ice on it. I do not give a shit. Spray the wings and the tail like I've told you 3 times. And oh my God, it's the most frustrating process. They'll be like, oh, well, there's ice. I don't care if there's ice. I don't care if there's ice in my friggin' nose. Do not spray where I do not tell you to spray. Spray the wings and the tail. I've never once in Montreal ever had to say anything to them. They tell you, are you guys all set? And we go, yep, go ahead. That's it. Because what does Montreal do? They spray the wings and the tail, and they leave the rest of the friggin' airplane alone like they should be. Because I do not give a shit if there's any ice or... There can be 3 feet of snow on the roof. I don't give a shit. I give a shit about my wings so that I can fly, and my tail so that I can fly. And guess where all that snow goes? Away. It blows off the airplane. As soon as I hit 30 knots, all that snow is gone. You know, like if the plane is caked with ice... You know, yeah, they'll hit some of the fuselage, but they'll pre-spray the planes. But oh my god, because the doors leak until it's pressurized, so all that glycol, which is, you know, hazmat, goes into the friggin' door and sprays on the floor. And it goes into the panels. There was an access panel on the 145 right here for hydraulics access panel, and you would go in there and it would be full of glycol, and it's like, why did they spray the hydraulic panel? And then there's a panel back here. I forget what the panel in the back was for. There's a little square panel here and one on the other side. And inevitably, they'd be full of glycol. I'm like, why did they spray this? You know, and so it's like, all you want sprayed is the wings and the tail. That's it. Leave the rest of it alone. I don't want my windshield sprayed. I've got heat on the windshield. I don't need it. Just leave it alone. And oh my god, they always spray it. Just like... And then the... You know... You get in the south, you tell them 5 times, don't spray the fuselage. They'd hit it, they'd blow it in the air conditioning unit, and then the flight attendant would ding you and be like, the smoke coming out of the air vents. It's like, how do you think the passengers react when they get, quote-unquote, it's not smoke, but they say smoke coming through the air vents. Oh my god, they freak out. And then I got to shut the air conditioners off. And then now I've got glycol in the air conditioners, so that has to be written up. That they spray glycol into the packs, and you're like... Could you guys just please listen to me and stop spraying shit you're not supposed to be spraying? It's so frustrating. But it's only a southern, you know, place where they never do de-icing. Like, you go anywhere that knows what they're doing, and you don't have to tell them anything. You go to the south in the U.S., and it's just like, oh my god. Because they never do it. It's like they do it like once or twice a year. You go to Montreal, it is nice. You know, it's just like... This plane can take off no problem with all this shit on the roof. Be my guest, take off. You know, what you don't want is snow on, you know, ice on the wings. That's where you don't want it, and the tail. I'm not a huge fan of them hitting the engine. Like, he's hitting the front leading edge of the wing. He's not going in the engine. Like, the engine can take some glycol, it's fine, but you don't want to spray it in the engine. That's a no. That's a big no. Again, look, he's hitting the tail like he's supposed to be, because you need that to be able to fly. I do not need the fuselage clean. The fuselage can have 10,000 pounds of snow on it. I really don't... No, not 10,000. Depends on how big the airplane is, but... You can have a fair bit of snow on the plane, and it doesn't matter on the fuselage. It's on the wings. You don't want any on the wings, and that is what this nasty shit looks like. Ugh, they're hitting it. They might not be in there. If the crew's not in there, sometimes, like, if you get, like, 3 feet of snow, they will go out there and pre-spray the planes, and they'll hit the fuselages to get rid of the snow in the fuselages. But generally, they're not that bad, because usually you've come in and you've gone, you know. You know, so usually you don't have that much hanging around the plane. Like, if you've been there for 20 minutes, an hour, you don't have that much snow on the fuselage. Just get it off the wings. If you've been there for like 3 days and you got 3 feet of snow in the fuselage, most of it's going to fall off anyway, but they'll spray some of that off. That's why you see like this. It's probably had a bunch on there. But generally, they're not spraying the fuselage all that much because it goes right in. Their pack unit's right here. Pack is right, probably, pack inlets are probably there. Depends on the airplane. But yeah, it's frustrating when you're down there. All right, I think we'll finish up there. Kind of keep it a short one, but good progress on the plane here. That was fun working on this little huffer cart. But yeah. All right, so thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.